Hey folks, Mike from LI Flies Mike here, and today we're going to be tying a big Tandem Squimpish Hollow. So as always, the full list of materials will be down in the description below. Today we'll be using some Squimpish Hair in some various colors, as well as some Bucktail in some various colors. And we'll be using some cheap Chinese saddle hackle here I have in some pink and white. We have some silver flash, as well as some 1/2-inch hologram eyes or 3D eyes, as well as some E6000 glue for it. We have some 0.035 diameter lead wire for the keel, some Marabou, and then these random beads that will be going on the Surflon stainless steel wire. So we're actually going to start off by putting a keel on our rear hook section. Now this is a tandem fly, so this will be attached via stainless steel wire to the front hook. But not only are we going to be putting a keel on the front fly, we're going to be putting it on the rear hook of the fly. It's essentially like we're tying two flies and combining them with the stainless steel wire to make one large fly. And the reason we add a keel is for not only action, but also for castability, and we'll be covering this in a future video. But I have my weighted flies video. I have the various weighted flies for striped bass video that just came out recently that you could watch that has a explanation in why we add weight to flies. So using some Bucktail for support, we're just going to tie on some white saddle hackle here. And I'm just going to tie two pieces on either side in kind of like a traditional lefties deceiver style. You can always tent this hackle or go flat wane or change up the tail however you like. So now we're going to be going with a flash tail on this fly. So I'm taking about 20 pieces of silver flash here, leaving it nice and long, and I'm essentially just going to tie this right in the middle and then fold it back, almost like a V-tie. You want that flash sticking about an inch past the feathers. That's just going to give us some great action with that flash dancing behind the feathers the whole time while we're stripping it. So now, as a nice little transition point here, almost like the kinky muddler, we're going to go ahead and take some orange Marabou. We're going to tie the Marabou in from the tip, and we're just going to palmer it. But first, I'm going to take a little super glue and apply it for durability. And then as we palmer this Marabou, we're just going to wrap it and guide the feathers as we wrap forward so the feathers don't wrap on top of themselves. Now we're not going to cover the whole hook shank, we're just getting a nice transition from our feathers to our bucktail. So we're going to pinch this here and tie this off, still having some room to tie some hollow collars in front of this. Wrapping back on top of the Marabou, making sure that this is durable. I like wrapping on top of some of the quill section that we wrapped, just ensuring that the Marabou isn't going to break as easily. So now we're going to be using a mix of natural and synthetic materials for our hollow ties. So I'm using yellow Squimpish Hair here, and I love using Squimpish Hair because we can tie hollow flies with it. It's very similar to Bucktail. It is softer than Bucktail. So what we're actually going to do is tie bucktail on the inside of our hollow collars, kind of like a hybrid hollow style. And this is going to give us some stiffness underneath our Squimpish Hollow ties. So tying some white bucktail here on the inside. So this is essentially like one hollow tie we're doing with two types of materials. With Squimpish Hair we can get the length that we want and the color. And then with the bucktail tied on the inside we could get that classic flare support so we can get a better profile that we're trying to achieve. Taking some pink or lavender sort of color here. I have so many different random colors of Squimpish Hair. Tying that in on the inside just for a little bit of color. And now spreading our material around before we hollow tie. You can see I'm just kind of getting it where I want it. Then we could take our professional hollow tie tool here, a spool of thread, hollow pen, whatever you use. And I'm just going to fold this back and weave our thread through as neatly as possible. Then we could start building our thread dam. Now you can see me here, it's important to get the Squimpish Hair covering that bucktail evenly, otherwise the bucktail will start punching through the Squimpish Hair. So you want that Squimpish Hair kind of evenly veiled over our inner bucktail hollow tie. You can see here the blend of the bucktail and the Squimpish Hair really gives us a nice appearance and a nice profile to our hollow fly. Throw a whip finish on here and put some super glue on the head. And what I like to do with some of the Squimpish hollows is I almost like getting a little, just a tiny bit of that super glue at the base of the Squimpish Hair, just to kind of stiffen it up a little bit. But this is going to be the rear section, so this in itself could just be a hollow fly, a Squimpish hollow fly. But now we're going to take some stainless steel wire and some beads, and we'll get this set up to become a tandem fly. So this is a Partridge Sea Beast 4-aught. This is a really heavy-duty partridge hook. And I'm taking some Surflon 60-pound stainless steel knottable wire. And you can see I'm kind of figuring out the length that I want it. We'll go ahead and get some thread on our hook here. Now, just like the big brush fly that I tied for my buddy going for Pyara, we're just going to take some beads and put this on here just so we can get a little bit of noise and vibration in there. These are just plastic beads, these aren't weighted, and they were all I had, but I gave them a shot and they still made a decent amount of noise. I don't know whether or not that actually affects the fish, but it gives me a little bit more confidence when fishing the fly. So now just securing our stainless steel wire, I'm going to start off with one side, work from the back to the front so I can secure it down nice and tight. Making sure to put that wire through the hook eye because we're going to fold it back. This is what's going to be securing the rear hook to this hook, so you want to make sure this is really secured well so it doesn't slip out. And now moving our thread forward, right behind the hook eye, you can pull back on your wire with a lot of tension and then wrap backwards, and this is going to keep this tight. You want to make sure you don't build up too much of that wire in the hook eye so you can actually fish either tactical angler clips or tie stainless steel wire yourself, right? You want to have room in there. So after securing that down with some thread, making sure it's durable, we're going to tie a Sadati style lead keel on here. Normally Mark Sadati would take wire and wrap it, but we already have stainless steel wire on there, and it's probably adding some weight, to be honest with you. But I'm just going to take some long strips of 0.035 diameter lead wire, cut this to about the same length as the stainless steel wire that we tied, because we're essentially kind of building up a platform to tie even more lead wire on top of this. So essentially we're going to end up having about 5 pieces of, I would say about 3/4 of an inch, almost about an inch of 0.035 diameter lead wire. So it's a considerable keel, but it's not massive. You can add a lot more wire than this. So now, taking some white bucktail, we're just going to essentially create a veil around our stainless steel wire, just to kind of cover it up and also give us a nice transition. Just going to take a little bit, tie it on top and bottom, and then just because of the wire and the keel, it's kind of hard to spread that bucktail naturally with your thumbnail. So I'm just going to tie a little bit more on the sides. Now we're going to take some white and pink saddle hackle, and I figured I'd just tie these on the side fairly short. You don't want these to be too long because it'll foul. So I made sure to tie it in at a length that it wouldn't wrap around the rear hook. I just wanted to add some color. You can leave this out, but this was something that I just felt like adding a little bit of color and a little bit more movement to this section of the fly. So after wrapping that up nice and neat, we can go ahead and start tying some large hollow ties. With some fairly long yellow Squimpish hair here, I'm going to spread this around the hook, making sure I have a fairly equal amount top and bottom. If you're going to have a little bit more material, have it be on the top so the fly turns over easier. But I like to keep it fairly even. And we're going to use some yellow Squimpish hair here. Because of the amount of lead weight that we have on here, it's going to offset the amount of material. Now you can keep it fairly sparse if you like. I tied these specifically to push a lot of water, to really be an accurate imitation of a large herring, let's say. That's one of the reasons why we add lead wire and keels to the fly, so we can offset the amount of material we're using, and it's still castable and it still turns over and fishes right. And sinks evenly as well. So taking some chartreuse or fluorescent yellow bucktail here, we're going to tie this in, and this is again giving us our support inside. And we can go ahead and fold back our hollow tie here just like we did in the last time. It's important that your hollow ties are wrapped even top and bottom before you fold it back. You can see we're always looking for that even tie top and bottom, so now we can build our thread dam, and our thread dam will be easier to build up. If your hollow tie is uneven, you'll notice one side will be sticking out more than the other when you're building your thread dam. So it's important to have your hollow ties tied evenly top and bottom. We're just going to apply a little bit of super glue here. I do this after every hollow tie in general, whether it be bucktail or squimpish, because what you'll find is, especially using bucktail at times, the thread can slip over time when the fly gets wet. If you've ever had a hollow tie where the material after you fished it, where it kind of just folds back randomly on one tie, that's because your thread slipped. So I like putting some super glue after each thread dam. So going with a little bit of light blue Squimpish Hair on top, a little yellow on the belly. We'll go ahead and tie our next hollow tie. We have room for about 2 more hollow ties, including this one, so we'll have room for 1 more after this. And I really like using yellow. Yellow's a favorite color of mine, especially for dirty water or when you're fishing at depth, because yellow really sticks out below a certain depth when other colors just become muddied. And again, I'm going for kind of like a herring type color, but I'm not really trying to be too accurate. This is kind of like a big attractor fly. Taking some more chartreuse or fluorescent yellow bucktail. Again, I really love mixing the natural with synthetics now. I used to primarily tie Squimpish flies with just Squimpish hair, but the added bucktail giving that support underneath is really nice. It helps give a fuller profile as well, because there's some shorter material underneath the long Squimpish hair. So again, building our thread dam here, you can see that the top tie is almost a little uneven to the bottom. It's not enough here to make too big of a difference, but you can see the slight variation. It's always important to keep your ties even top and bottom. So going with a little super glue here again after each hollow thread dam, it's always important to do that. By the way, look at the flare on that material. This thing's going to look amazing in the water. You got to stick around till the end and see what it looks like. So we're going to go with some white Squimpish hair for the belly. I didn't have a lot of white material because I'm tying some roosterfish flies for a customer. So I had to order some recently, but decided to add some white to the belly here near the end of the fly. And now taking some kind of black and purple Squimpish hair. This is a really nice blend of color that they make. I don't know the exact name, I'll have to figure it out, but we're going to tie a little bit of that. And again, tying that first on the top here, because when we fold it back, that's what'll be on the outside. And then we can follow that up with a little purple on the inside of that, because again, we're building up our colors in our hollow tie. Tying a little purple on the inside of that, we're building up our colors, and then we could tie some yellow on the belly here. And I figured this would be a good time just to take some white bucktail and tie that on the inside so we can get some nice white color on that belly section. And we'll follow that up with some light blue bucktail hollow tied on the inside of our Squimpish hair on top. You can see here, I'm just making sure my ties are even top and bottom as best I can. You want to leave yourself room behind the hook eye, something you're going to have to play with over time getting comfortable with hollow ties. So this makes a great pike or musky, largemouth, obviously striper fly as well, but you know, I was thinking of taking these and fishing these at depth, about 80 or 90 foot out off Montauk and Block Island. Very similar to slammers, but these are the sort of Squimpish hollows that'll actually get down deep. So after building our thread dam here, we're just gonna tie on a couple whip finishes. You can see that gap there between where we folded our thread, so I'm just going to work that material down evenly. And always brush out your Squimpish flies, your synthetic materials, even some natural flies. You can brush them out after you work with them. Just because a lot of times material will get either folded in on itself or slightly tangled while you're working with it. So we want to get a better idea of what we're working with here. So to put some eyes on here, we have some big 1/2-inch hologram eyes. If I had 3D eyes, I would use them. Hologram eyes are just kind of a more subtle raised eye. And I'm taking some E6000 and applying it to the back of the eye. After applying some glue with the E6000 on the back side of the eye, I take some more, apply it to the back side, and then I apply the eye further forward than I want. And then I push down on the eye and push back. And this spreads the glue evenly behind the whole back side of our stick-on eye, or our hologram eye. It's always important to push the eyes down after a while because the E6000, as it hardens, will raise or expand. But you can see the profile here we're working with. This makes a really nice bunker herring fly. You can see why I love tying with Squimpish Hair. And you may ask why I tie with Squimpish Hair a lot of times instead of Bucktail. Well, I just don't have the money to buy $30 Bucktails, $20 Bucktails all the time. I love tying Bucktail hollow flies. It's really one of my favorite flies, but the cost of materials and with how expensive Bucktail gets nowadays, especially tying, if you really want to tie nice hollow flies, and it's well worth the money going to somebody like Brad Buzzy, let's say, from Buzzfly, but the Squimpish Hair is a great alternative to this. I've been working with the folks at Squimpish Flies since the start of this material, so it's something I'll always promote because I love it. You can hear the sound of the beads here, by the way, and these are plastic beads, so I think the tungsten beads or metal ones will make a lot more noise, but these plastic beads still work. So here we go, the Tandem Squimpish Hollow. You can see here, beautiful profile. Makes a great pike, musky, bass fly, whatever it may be. I tied these and fished them for largemouth with Mark recently, but I think I'm going to be fishing these for stripers out in the ocean, and perhaps trying out some circle hooks as well. You can see that flash daily action, and the synthetic Squimpish Hair has such great movement in it. And this is from our weighted fly striped bass video that we put out recently. And this is another Squimpish Hollow that I tied and filmed for that purpose. Well, my name is Mike here from LI Flies Mike. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. We have new fly tying videos coming out every week, as well as fly fishing. We have live fly tying on Fridays and early access for members. Till the next video, we'll see you on the next one. Tight lines.